Queen Mab by P B Shelley. To Harriet. Whose is the love that, gleaming through the world, wards off poisonous arrow of its scorn? Whose is the warm and partial praise, virtue's most sweet reward? Beneath whose looks did my reviving soul, riper in truth and virtuous daring grow? Whose eyes have I gazed on and loved mankind the more? Harriet, on thine. Thou wert my purer mind, thou wert the inspiration of my song. Thine are these early wilding flowers, though garlanded by me. Then press into thy breast this pledge of love, and know, though time may change and years may roll, each floweret gathered in my heart it consecrates to thine. 1. How wonderful is death, death and his brother sleep, one pale as yonder waning moon, with lips of lurid blue, the other rosy as the morn when throned on ocean's wave, it blushes o'er the world, yet both so passing wonderful. Hath then the gloomy power, whose reign is in the tainted sepulchres, seized on her sinless soul? Must then that peerless form which love and admiration cannot view, without a beating heart, those azure veins which steal like streams along a field of snow, that lovely outline which is fair as breathing marble, perish? Must putrefaction's breath leave nothing of this heavenly sight but loathsomeness and ruin, spare nothing but a gloomy theme, on which the lightest heart might moralize? Or is it only a sweet slumber stealing o'er sensation, which the breath of roseate morning chaseth into darkness? Will Ianthe wake again, and give that faithful bosom joy, whose sleepless spirit waits to catch light, life, and rapture from her smile? Yes, she will wake again, although her glowing limbs are motionless, and silent those sweet lips once breathing eloquence that might have soothed the tiger's rage, or thawed the cold heart of a conqueror. Her dewy eyes are closed, and on their lids, whose texture fine scarce hides the dark blue orbs beneath, the baby's sleep is pillowed. Her golden tresses shade the bosom's stainless pride, curling like the tendrils of the parasite around a marble column. Hark! Whence that rushing sound? 'Tis like the wondrous strain that round a lonely ruin swells, which wandering on the echoing shore the enthusiast hears at evening. 'Tis softer than the west wind's sigh, 'tis wilder than the unmeasured notes of that strange lyre whose strings the genie of the breezes sweep, whose lines of rainbow light are like the moonbeams when they fall through some cathedral window, but the tints are such as may not find comparison on earth. Behold the chariot of the fairy queen, celestial coursers pour the unyielding air, their filmy pennants at her world they furl, and stop obedient to the reins of light. These queen of spells drew in, she spread a charm around the spot, and leaning graceful from the ethereal car, long did she gaze and silently upon the slumbering maid. Oh, not the visioned poet in his dreams, when silvery clouds float through the wildered brain, when every sight of lovely, wild, and grand astonishes, enraptures, elevates, when fancy at a glance combines the wondrous and the beautiful, so bright, so fair, so wild a shape hath yet ever beheld, as that which reigned the courses of the air, and poured the magic of her gaze upon the maiden's sleep. The broad and yellow moon shone dimly through her form, the form of faultless symmetry, the pearly and pellucid car, moved not the moonlight's line, 'twas not an earthly pageant. Those who had looked upon the sight, passing all human glory, saw not the yellow moon, saw not the mortal scene, heard not the night wind's rush, heard not an earthly sound, saw but the fairy pageant, heard but the heavenly strains that filled the lowly dwelling. The fairy's frame was slight, yon fibrous cloud that catches but the palest tinge of evening, and which the straining eye can hardly seize, when melting into the eastern twilight's shadow, was scarce so thin, so slight, but the fair star that gems the glittering coronet of morn sheds not a light so mild, so fair, as that which, bursting from the fairy's form, spread a purpureal halo around the scene, yet with an undulating motion swayed to her outline gracefully. From her celestial car the fairy queen descended, and thrice she waved her wand, circled the wreaths of amaranth, that her thin and misty form moved with the moving air, and clear silver tones, as thus she spoke, was such as yet unheard by all but the gifted ear.